We're gonna do a little bit of different format today because I'm gonna give you some information on a recent overnight camp out that I did up at a church camp up in the mountains here in Wyoming, just outside of Laramie. It's called Campout, and it has a pretty nice kitchen. But I'd never used the kitchen, I'd never seen the kitchen in person. I'd seen pictures of it, but I wasn't sure what I was going to be working with. I knew it had a large fridge and that it had a chest freezer for me to use. It has three ovens and a large cooktop, but they're gas propane fueled. So I knew that we were going to have good equipment to work with. I just hadn't seen it, and I wasn't sure what kind of kitchen supplies they had. So if you're ever in charge of something like this, if it's possible, go visit the location and just get a handle on what you're going to be working with, what you need to bring from your own kitchen to supplement what wouldn't be an easy thing to head down the mountain and go to our local Walmart to get something, because it would be about a 45-minute round trip to go get something that you're missing. So make a list of the things that you need in the event that you don't know what you're working with. Bring it all, and that's kind of what I did. I had to get up to the camp early to prepare the kitchen. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. I had been given the keys to unlock the gates and go down this long, dirt, rocky road to get up to the camp. Because it really is in the mountains, there were critters that had left their mark. So if you're doing something like this, come prepared with cleaners, disinfectant, and all of that, which I did, so I was in good shape. However, I needed to have somebody up there to light the pilot light and get the propane ready to use with the stove and the ovens. I was told that I would need to have that done, but I said, number one, I'll either burn my eyebrows off or I'll blow up the place, so I'll wait for somebody to get up there. Luckily, I had a couple that were coming up and they came up early to help me get ready. When they came, he was awesome because he took the tools and kind of climbed under the stove on his back, found where he needed to turn the gas on, and then he lit the pilot light for me. I would not have done that. I wouldn't have been able to figure that out, so I was grateful for that help. My friend Sherry, she went around after all I had done to disinfect, she went around and redid it before I brought any food in, just to double check. I mean, there are chipmunks, there's probably mice, things like that that can get into those places. And even if you can't visibly see it, it's a good idea to just work from a clean, sanitized station. I got up there, I left my house about 3 o'clock, and it took, I'm gonna just say, just under an hour to get to the camp. So I was able to get in, leave the gates open because I knew people would be coming. And when I walked into the kitchen, I found the little bit of mess, so I had to spend extra time cleaning. Plus, I didn't have the ovens lit, so it was a good thing that I brought my countertop oven. I was able to get the beginnings of dinner heated up before we got the ovens up and running. For dinner that night, I had pre-cooked the night before pork butt roasts. I had oven roasted them and pulled everything and then lightly coated it with extra barbecue sauce. They were delicious. I also made homemade coleslaw to go on top of that. I had cornbread and honey butter that I had made. I did some baked beans, and I used a number 10 can of baked beans, plus added my own that I cooked from an Instapot, because it's so cheap to cook your own beans in an Instapot. I added molasses, brown sugar, mustard, chopped onion, chopped green pepper, mixed it all together and put it in the oven and baked them off, and they were amazing. They were really, really good. The day before, I also made pickled red onions, which we'll leave a link on how to do that. I made a container of pickled red onions, and I also opened up my home canned dill pickles and put them in a serving jar. All right, breakfast the next morning, we had scrambled eggs, we had pancakes, I made biscuits and gravy, and I used a tip from my friend Sherry to buy the frozen biscuits. I've never done that before. I've always made my own, but she said, Susie, you're making so much food. Try these out. And I did. They were the Pillsbury frozen biscuits, and they were delicious. They rose and they were soft and chewy. They were good. And I homemade my sausage gravy to go on top. I also made a small crock pot of gluten-free oatmeal, and I had some nuts, some berries, a syrup that they could use in case anybody was gluten-free. That was available. It was fun because one of the girls brought up her dog, and all of the oatmeal that I did not use, she put it in a baggie, and she was feeding her dog that oatmeal. The dog loved it, and it's a cattle ranch dog, so it's used to eating just whole foods like that, and the dog was so cute, and he loved that cooked oatmeal. For lunch that day, we made ham and cheese and turkey and cheese sliders that are served on those Hawaiian sweet rolls. I made a topping of butter, some spices, and you brush those on at the end, and they bake up wonderfully. They're super easy to serve, and I cut them in twos because usually people want at least 2 of those on the slider rolls. Okay, we also made Hucks Smokey potato salad. This salad is loved by all. It's my mother-in-law's recipe, and it is a smoky potato salad. It has real bacon bits sprinkled on the top, and it's a very simple sauce that you put into it. It is delicious. To make the sauce for your potato salad, you're going to need a full container of mayo. It's 1 quart, 1 pint of mayo. My favorite mayo is actually Best Foods real mayo, but our Walmart was out when I went to buy all this stuff. So we're getting great value, and it's great. It tastes good, but I'm kind of biased to Best Foods. Then you're gonna need some onion powder. You're gonna use a heaping tablespoon of onion powder, probably a heaping tablespoon of yellow mustard, salt and pepper to taste. The secret is liquid smoke. So you're gonna shake this bottle up because sometimes the sediment kind of distributes at the bottom of the bottle. You're gonna take 2 capfuls. Take this cap off, fill it up twice, and pour it in the sauce and mix it up. Seriously, the best. A lot of people that don't really like potato salad like this one because it is smoky and it goes really well with barbecue, sandwiches, any type of a picnic setting. This is a hit. We also cut up 2 watermelon into triangles and served that along with the picnic. Watermelon at this time of the late summer is really good price. At our local Walmart, you can get a watermelon for $3. That's a really good price for here in Laramie, because fruit and vegetables usually are pretty expensive because everything is driven in. We don't have a lot of local fresh produce farms here in Wyoming. We're a high altitude. It's hard to grow things unless you have greenhouses, which I plan to do. That's another video. I have 5-gallon beverage jar dispensers, and I always have one. I fill it halfway with ice and halfway with water. I always have an ice water option available. The other one, I do some kind of a punch, and because I have to follow some kind of a budget, I use one of those containers of the Walmart Great Value brand equivalent of a Crystal Light packets. One container has, I think, 6 packets. I use all of that. I mix it into a pitcher so it makes kind of a slurry with water. And then I add that to the big 5-gallon container and fill the rest up with water. I'll use that pitcher to fill it in to get all the goodness out of the flavoring out of the pitcher and into the canister. You can always add liters of Sprite, any kind of a fizzy drink to these. Also, you can slice up lemons, pre-freeze some fruit in water or 7-Up, like berries, strawberries, watermelon slices, pineapple slices with the rind on, and you can put them in Solo cups and freeze them. And those big red Solo cups, those ice cubes, if you have 5 or 6 of those ice cubes made with cut fruit in them and put them in the canisters, not only does it look pretty, but it keeps everything nice and cold. The next day dinner was my mom's recipe for chicken enchiladas. I am going to be making that in a future video, so we'll try to link it later when I actually do this lunch. But we made chicken enchiladas, served pinto beans, lime cilantro rice. I always cut up fresh iceberg lettuce into slices and put that on the plate, and I had my homemade salsa made. There was chips out on the table, also sour cream that they could top with it, chopped cilantro, slices of lime that they could add a little squeeze of lime to their dish. We also made apple crisp that night, and I needed to rotate some of my home canned apple pie filling, so I used that. Plus I added a number 10 can from our restaurant supply store. So we made that. I made a crumble topping using yellow cake mix, added some brown sugar, some oatmeal flakes, a little bit of salt, mix that together, sprinkled it on top of the whole big caterer pan, foil pan, and then I melted 3 sticks of butter. I know it's a lot of butter, but it can't be, it's fine. And then you pour that over the top of that apple crisp and bake it at 350 for at least 40 minutes. It is so good, and we serve that with vanilla ice cream and some caramel sauce. For dessert with the pulled pork sandwiches, we made sheet cake brownies, and we had vanilla ice cream, and I made my homemade hot fudge sauce and drizzled that over the top. It was so good. I love this homemade hot fudge sauce. My friend Teresa, have to give her the credit. This is Teresa's hot fudge sauce, and it is to die for good. And I'm gonna give out my recipe because it's really not mine, and I can't claim it as my own. So anyway, Teresa, thank you for the hot fudge recipe. I have used it for years. I had plenty of snacks on hand in case the kids came up after the activities during the night. I had a licorice tub. I made my own version of flavored ranch pretzels, okay? I had cookie dough ready to go to bake cookies at night if anybody needed that. I also had hot chocolate, whipped cream, the caramel syrup that they could make hot chocolate. So some of the supplies that I brought up was a can opener, my good knives, a couple of really good cutting boards, my big stainless steel bowls. You've seen those in previous videos. Bring your bowls, always bring extra bowls. I brought up whisks, I brought up baggies, like gallon-sized baggies. I brought up my good Costco tinfoil roll, my Costco saran wrap roll. I brought up paper towels, cleaning supplies, dish soap, hand towels, drying towels. I brought up my roaster oven, my Instapot, my crock pot. I brought up about everything you can possibly think. Large stainless steel mixing spoons, ladles. When you're planning, look at your menu, look at each meal, and pretend you're going to a camp that has nothing. What do you need to make that meal? Make a list, okay? When you go to the next menu item, make a list of what you need, and you can put a dot by the things you already have for the first meal, and then continue on. And you go through all of your meals like that so you don't forget one thing and you have everything. Another idea is when you're going to a place like this that has some supplies, but you need to supplement what they might have, take a picture with your phone of the things that you brought. So when you go home, you pack up only what you brought and you don't mistakenly leave something that's yours or take something that belongs to the camp kitchen. I did this and it was really helpful. I don't think I left anything up at that kitchen I delegated out the ice. I just didn't have room to bring all the ice that I needed for the 4 meals, okay? So I delegated to 2 students to bring coolers filled with ice bags. So I think they brought up a total of 6 ice bags for me, and it was really helpful. We actually ended up with 2 ice bags that we didn't need, so I left them at the camp because I knew there was an extra camp coming up the following weekend and they were gonna have a happy surprise. I hope this is helpful. The pictures and the little bit of footage was from my husband because I told him, please go take some pictures. And I just didn't have the time. I was working from sunup to sundown and I didn't even think about filming really. So I hope that this gives you some ideas of what you can do if you're gonna be assigned to cook for some kind of a camp.